Hello, today I want to talk about the scary cards of the tarot. There are a lot of things that come up in a reading that can be disturbing or confusing or frightening, and there are certain images that I've been trying to go through card by card in smaller clips that I've been posting, and I've already done the Death card and I've done the Tower card, but I thought I would give an overview of the cards that I'm going to be sharing with you. As I did this, I found some really interesting observations about this. The first is that the Three of Swords starts a series of primarily odd cards, 3, 5, 7, but then it has 8, 9, 10, that are all part of the scary card category in my perceptions. And I was thinking about this, but what I was realizing is that if you understand that the minor arcana, which is all of the ace through king cards in each of the suits, you have the suit of cups, which is emotions, you have the suit of pentacles, which is the physical realm, you have the suit of wands, which is about creativity, and then you have the suit of swords, which is about thought, intellect, logic. And the thing is, when bad things happen or negative things happen, we tend to start thinking about it and going over and over and over again in our mind, over and over and over, and we overthink things, and that can lead us to deeper levels of things that aren't real because they're in our mind. They're not reality. They are our thoughts that are taking us further and further. So as you see this, you'll notice that the increasing levels of discomfort in the swords really culminate in something not very happy. So just follow along with me as we go. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. If you ever want a reading, just go to my website and schedule a reading, and I can help you to understand some of this better. But right now I'm just going to kind of walk you through what I see. I've laid them out here in this particular pattern for a specific reason, and you'll see why as I get to the end. As I finish with a card, I'm going to move it off to the side so that we can then clear the field and move our way to the most intense things at the end. So let's start with the lowest number, the number 3. In this case, it is the Three of Swords. Now again, I was talking about logic, etc. But the Three of Swords is about, well, look at it. It's a heart with 3 swords poking into it. It does represent heartbreak. It does represent loss. It can represent depression. It can represent surgery. But it also represents coming to an understanding or a clarity about where you actually are standing. So if you were looking at life with rose-colored glasses and got your heart broken, you now see things more clearly. You now can have that understanding of what happened. And while it kind of broke your heart, it actually also opened your heart to new possibilities. What you need to understand is that if things are not going the way that they should in your life, there's something better. There really is something better, but you need to be preparing for it, and you need to be ready to receive it, and you need to be able to go through the steps to get there. So the universe has not let me down. I thought it did for a while, but it really did not. Everything I went through made me the woman I am now, made me worthy of the husband I have and the life that I lead. And I still struggle. I still have pain. I still have sadness. I still have difficulties, but they're so much less, and I look at them in a totally different way. So at the level 3, you have heartbreak, and then you kind of need to make choices. Are you going to wallow in it? Are you going to let it go? Are you going to open yourself up again so that you can find healing, or are you going to close yourself off? The more you react in a negative or selfish way to what happens in you, the more likely those lessons are going to be happening over and over and over again, and you're not going to get through them. It's kind of like failing a class and having to take it over and over and over again. So the Three of Swords starts our journey of the scary cards. When you get this card, just recognize that you might be disappointed in something that you thought was going to be wonderful, and it breaks your heart a little bit. But look at it with clarity. Understand what's happening. And if you can believe that letting go of it will take you somewhere better, you'll start down a different journey. You'll start down a path that'll take you through some processes that will get you to a place where you're ready. Okay? All right. The next card, the next level, is the number 5. This is the only number that all 4 of the suits are represented. You'll see that the 5 of Cups represents grieving. The 5 of Pentacles, I call it the poverty card, but it really is just about a lack. It's about things missing. It's about, it can be bad health, it can be isolation, it can be financial problems, but it's about a lack of something in the physical world. Could be your body, could be money, could be stuff, could be you need things. And it's important that you recognize that these people are in this picture. The people in this card are actually in a church of some kind or some kind of sanctuary. So you need to remember that if you are lacking something, you probably have what you need right at access. You just need to open your eyes to see what it is and recognize your situation. The 5 of Cups, what's interesting about this one, I actually really like this cup. And or this particular card with the cups. You'll notice that he is mourning because 3 of his cups have tipped over. He's mourning the loss of them. He's like, oh, my cups have tipped over. My things are gone. But right behind him are 2 perfectly full cups waiting for him just to turn around and see them. So when you're in mourning, you need to remember that there is something happening that is going to brighten the situation and help you to get your way out of the mourning. And notice though it's 2 as opposed to the 3. So it's not a direct replacement or everything is perfect, but it starts you back pretty well along the way and ready to move forward with your emotions. The 5 of Wands is not really a horrible card in terms of the message that it gives people in their lives, but I call it the pick a little, talk a little. This is where there are petty squabbles and everybody is kind of defensive and everybody is kind of attacking and everybody's kind of in a stance of trying to figure out where the danger is coming from. This card, when it shows up, it either means that you are involved in some petty squabbles, bickering, etc., that are going to escalate, or that you are being surrounded by them. The message in both of those cases is get out of there. Get out of there. Get away from the squabbles. Stand back. Do not interact or feed or give any fuel to the fire of the bickering. It will pass unless you join in which case it could create a whole different set of ripples. Okay, and then the 5 of Swords. This card looks like a victory card. It's deceptive. I call this the winning but at what cost card. This card shows a man who has killed some people on the battlefield. Others are going away wounded. He won. He's got the sword. He's got it raised and he's got the trophies to prove it. The question is, what was lost in that battle? I would recommend that you look at the lyrics to the song One Tin Soldier. I believe that's the name of it. But it's about these people, the valley people and the mountain people, and how they had this big war for a treasure that was buried. And they had this big huge war, and they battled over it, and then when they got there and the one side grew, the one group won, and they dug it up and they opened the box. Inside, all it said was peace on earth. That was the treasure. But they had destroyed an entire other side in order to get to it. So it kind of defeated the purpose. So the 5s are also halfway through the journey. When you're looking from the Ace to the 10, and you're looking at the growth of those things, the growth of emotions, the growth of the physical world, the growth of creativity, and the growth of logic, you're about halfway there. Think of it this way. It's like the 5 is like you've been climbing, and you're just like, oh my gosh, when is this climbing going to get over? But once you hit the top, then you can start to go down, and it gets easier, and things move a little faster. But it depends on what you do with that downward movement. So the 5s, they can be scary. All right. The next we're going to look at is the 7s. There are 2 7s that become interesting. The 7 of Swords is what I call the theft and deception card. This indicates that there is some kind of deception going on, some kind of secrecy, but there's also, it can be very bad. It can be cheating. When this comes up in a love reading, to me it indicates that there is some cheating or deception going on. It's also a theft card. People are stealing from you. Now, but that could be they're stealing your time, your energy, your your physical ability to do things, or they're stealing your reputation. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be stuff. It can be anything that can be taken from you. Now, the other thing is, though, that sometimes deception is needed. I would often talk to my students when I was a teacher. I would talk to my students and I would say to them, when you are impeccable with your word, which comes from the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, it doesn't mean to always tell the truth, because sometimes the truth is actually damaging and bad. So, for example, if a live shooter came into a classroom and I've hidden all the students away in the closet and he asks me, "Where are the students?" and I say, "I have no idea," I'm lying. Lying like a rug on the floor, I'm lying. And I'm proud of it. And I would not change a thing, because my integrity is still intact. My impeccability of my word is still intact, because I know that I have said what is right to say. So the same thing happens, that sometimes people need to hide things or be deceptive to protect themselves for their lives. People in domestic abuse. When I was a victim of domestic abuse, I did not tell a lot of things because I would get in trouble, and getting in trouble sometimes meant actual physical abuse. And so sometimes you lie, or you're deceptive, or you hide things because you are afraid. So there are times when this deception card does not mean that someone is out to do you wrong, but it means that there is some secrecy involved somewhere. Then you have the Seven of Wands, which is, I call it the defensive card. And notice this person is in a defensive stance. I also call it the bubble of protection card. You need to figure out what your boundaries are, what your bubble is, and you need to be able to defend those parameters that you've put around your life, whether it's your time, energy, or love, whether it's the kind of things that you will allow into your home or not. You're putting a hedge of security and safety around yourself so that you can protect what needs to be protected. But it is a card that indicates that there are some external forces coming at you, and that you need to be prepared to deal with that. So those are the sevens. Okay. Then we have the Eight of Swords. It's the only one that's kind of in this lower numbers here that has kind of that scary feel to it. It's a woman who is in a circle of swords, and she's blindfolded. But the thing is, she's loosely tied up. She could reach up and pull the blindfold off and notice that the swords are not touching her. They're just around her. She could walk through them and get out. This indicates a self-imposed trap, a prison of your own creation. You feel trapped. You think you're trapped. You imagine yourself to be trapped. But that's not necessarily the reality. The reality is that you have put those restrictions on yourself. You have convinced yourself that you are trapped. You're not. You need to just take off the blindfold, accept what's around you, navigate your way through the swords, and get out of it. Don't play a victim. Don't have a victim mentality. Okay. Now, if you have not been learning the lessons along the way, you'll eventually get to the nines. Now, this 9 is actually a positive card, but it looks like a defeat. Like I've been defeated, I've been taken down. It's the 9 of Wands. This actually shows more like I've done my duty. Thank you, Your Majesty, whoever was in control. I've done my service, and I'm ready to move forward. I did the tasks, I've done the work, and I'm ready to move forward. He is not defeated, so don't take it that way. He is relinquishing the work he did and ready to move forward as soon as he's given his marching orders. All right, but this one is exactly what it looks like, the Nightmare card. It indicates that there is some anxiety, there is some fear. What we need to remember is that fear is, more often than not, our fears are way out of control. They are way beyond what's real. There are times when there are things that are truly, truly frightening, but most of our fears are not realized. And so this idea of the anxiety and the fears in the middle of the night, notice again, none of the swords are actually touching her. She's just afraid of them. This one indicates that you need to look at things clearly and go back to number 8. Get yourself out. Get yourself out. Look at things clearly and do the preparations so that the nightmares stop, so that the anxiety can lighten. So those are the 9s. Okay, this one is the 10 of Swords. I call this the leaving it dead on the battlefield. This does indicate a painful ending to something. Something is over, done. Stick a fork in it, because it's over. It's done. But it's kind of like the Death card. And I'm going to bring the Death card over from over here. These two cards are similar. In this one, though, there's a lot more pain, a lot more feeling of pain. It's a hard card. But the message is, whatever it is that's dead is dead. It's gone. It's in the past. And now you'll be able to move forward and let whatever that was stay back where it was and move forward. But you're going to be carrying some emotions with it for a while. It is a hard card, and it is scary. But the implication is that it's in the past, which is a positive thing. You just need to move forward. Now I've got these other ones kind of set up in a series of pairs. So I'm going to bring them in here and kind of start at the bottom with the Death card and the Tower card. These two cards are related but very different. The Death card is about the complete and total ending of something, 100% over. But it's also about the rebirth of something new. So something is over, but something else starts, and it normally is better than what you had before, as long as you've been building up the positive karma. Remind me to tell you about karma sometime. But if you've been doing actions that were worthy of good recompense, being compensated with goodness, then whatever ended was probably not good for you, and you're going to have good things happen. The Chaos card is what I call the Tower. The Chaos card, the Tower card, is all about the building coming down due to external things. Something happens that you cannot control. Absolute chaos ensues. It's kind of like Demolition Day, only you didn't expect it. But the thing about demolition is that it's also there to rebuild on the same land or the same foundation. This is about the end of something that was not built on a good foundation, or the foundation has become faulty, but then rebuilding and it's better than before. It's new, it's rejuvenated, and it's on a strong and firm foundation. So in both of these cases, you're moving forward. The thing is, this one, the Tower, represents in some of the same ways, and this one represents in a new direction or a new way. So that's the Tower and Death. Justice and Judgment. These can be scary if you feel like you've done bad things, right? But if you feel like you've done good things, it can still be scary, because justice is like going to court. Justice is when you're sitting in front of the judge and they are weighing the evidence for and against the victim or the subject or whoever it is that's in the court. They are weighing the evidence and finding what's going on. And so the Justice card, when it shows up, it's kind of, you're going to get what you deserve. The question is, what does the evidence indicate that you deserve? If you've been building up really good positive things, what we call positive karma, then you will get justice, which would mean that you would become triumphant and victorious in the situation. If you have been doing things in the wrong way, or you're in the wrong, then the justice will say that the things will not go your way, and you need to step back and look at things logically and figure out how to move on from there. That would probably be a Chaos card or a Death card kind of feeling, like, okay, things collapsed a little bit, but are they gone, or am I going to rebuild? You need to kind of think about that. And this is earlier on in the Major Arcana, in the Fool's Journey. It's kind of midway along where you're going, it's number 11 out of the 22, and you're kind of going, oh, wow, halfway point, midterm tests, right? Midterm exams. And we're checking in to see how your karma's going, how your spirit's going, how your work's going. The Judgment is towards the very end. It's way up there, right before the very last card. And it is about final clarity, total understanding, and then making a determination on where you are and what you're going to do with confidence, because it's a judgment rather than just a weighing of the information. Both of these indicate that your actions heretofore are going to impact your future. So keep that in mind as you move forward. All right, these two, they're also very, very different cards, but they're similar. The sun is not here because the sun is basically like the sun is shining on you. Everything is wonderful. Things are great. You can see everything clearly, and it's a sunshine day, and that's a real positive. The moon, when you go out in the nighttime and you're out in the moonlight, shadows can play with your mind. You can have tricks of the eyes. Everything is not clear when you are out and the moon is about. The moon is about, watch out for confusion, maybe some deception, maybe being blinded to what's actually out there in the sun, and fearful of looking at things in the light of day. So there's a little bit, it can be a little bit of a negative if you're not careful, because it does indicate that you need to be careful as you figure out what's going on. And you might want to wait until there's a little bit more sunshine before you make any major decisions or make any choices of that kind. The Hanged Man sounds like the hanged man, like a guy's hanging, but notice he's hanging upside down by his ankle, and his hands are free. He could reach up there and take himself down anytime he wants, but he is voluntarily hanging upside down because he wants to look at things in a new way. He wants to get a new perspective. He wants to garner more information before making decisions. Both of these cards tell me that you need to think before you act. Think before you decide, and make sure that you've gotten all your perspectives and you're not confused and you've seen everything clearly. Okay? Well, the last card, he kind of stands alone. You notice he's just been hanging out on the side. This is the devil. And this is not the devil of the Bible like Satan. This is the idea of the primal, most visceral inside of us instincts. It is our primal instincts of self-protection, a little bit of greed, a little bit of temptation, a little bit of envy. It has a lot of those negative connotations with it, but what it really is just saying is be careful of your basest instincts. Be careful that you do not be tempted to react with anger, to react with greed, to react with envy, or to act upon any of those things in the things that you do. The devil says that you're tempted to do things that will not end up in the best possible position. When I think of the devil, I think of things like addiction, materialism, obsession, lusting after things that you should not, in an inappropriate way, things like that. Those things are indicated that you have something that you really should not be going after that you might want. So it's a warning. Don't go there. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Just watch out and go back to your higher self rather than sticking with your basest instincts, and get help if you need it. So all of these cards, all of these scary cards that I just shared with you, they are scary, but they are not threatening. They are not dangerous. They give you messages, and they remind you, and they help you to see a way out. I wish you the best of luck on your journey. To the journey.